Hello and welcome to your Learning Zone, the online learning network for children's nutrition with Grub for Life. This is part 2 of our course on fussy eating for toddlers. You can stop and start the training video whenever you like, and if you've missed something, just go back to hear it again. Don't forget to have a notepad and pen to hand as you follow the slides, and there are questions to answer at the end, which will help you check that you've understood the key points in the module. And don't forget to keep a record of the time you've spent here. It could count toward your continued professional development. Now all the modules have been devised by our registered dietitian, Nigel Denby. This is what he looks like. And if he appears on your training slide, make a special note of the information on that slide. Now we're ready? Let's get started. In part 1, we learned some reasons why babies and toddlers refuse food, and also the role that we can play as child carers in stopping them from refusing food. In this module, we will look more deeply into the reasons for fussy eating. We learned in part 1 that there are several phases in a child's growth and development where food refusal is normal. As childminders, patience is key with fussy eaters, because it can take up to 13 times before a child accepts a new or refused food. But aside from these phases of food refusal, there are other reasons why a child may refuse to eat. For example, the way a child is feeling can easily be the reason they are refusing to eat. They may feel tired, distracted, anxious, or emotional, causing them to be fussy at mealtimes. Children may also refuse to eat because they are experiencing some kind of physical pain, such as constipation, anemia, or teething. We will talk more in depth about medical reasons for food refusal like these later in this module. Children could also simply be feeling unwell or too full to eat at mealtimes. Remember to avoid serving too much food or too many drinks at a given meal, so your toddler is hungry when it's time for them to eat. As we also mentioned in part 1, you can have a huge influence on food refusal. Children may be refusing to eat because there is no structure or routine in their meal times. Try to serve meals and snacks around the same time every day to give children a routine, and remember that eating at a table with adults or other children will encourage them to eat, as children learn by copying. Meal times should also be a positive experience. Too much shouting or arguing at the table can make a child upset or associate meal times negatively, making them less likely to want to eat. Most importantly, don't give food refusal too much attention or overreact if a child refuses to eat. If a child who normally eats well says they don't want a meal, ask them why. Most of the time there is a simple explanation as to why a child doesn't want to eat something. Like you and me, a child could simply feel too tired or too full to eat. Aside from how a child is feeling, there are other longer-term issues that can explain why a child is refusing to eat. Parents tend to get anxious when their children refuse to eat. This anxiety will almost always make food refusal worse. Serving children too many snack foods or treats can also cause food refusal. Children will become reliant on snacks and won't want to eat as much at mealtimes. Because children learn best by copying, they tend to eat very well at nursery and at other people's homes. When they see adults and other children eating a certain food, they will likely do the same. As a child carer, you can do a lot to help over-anxious parents about their child's eating. Try to reassure parents you are here to support them. Remind them that food refusal is very normal for most children and that most children grow out of this developmental phase, especially once they start nursery and eat with other children. But in a small minority of children, food refusal is caused by medical issues. The most common medical problems associated with food refusal are constipation and anemia. Babies can refuse to eat if they are suffering from reflux, which can make eating extremely painful. If food refusal is persistent in a child, they may be experiencing pain or discomfort from eating. Again, this is very rare, but should still be considered. If you sense this from a child, refer them to a GP. If a child is often coughing or gagging while eating, they may have oral motor issues. In this case, a speech and language assessment should be considered. If you suspect any of these medical issues in a child, they can easily be confirmed and treated or ruled out by a health professional. If food refusal persists, even after medical issues have been ruled out, the child may have extreme neophobic response, which means that they're highly sensory sensitive. These children have difficulty tolerating sensory changes and probably dislike having a dirty face or hands. Although children do usually grow out of this phase by the age of 5, they may need more intensive support from a dietitian. To avoid making food refusal worse in a child, remember to stay calm at mealtimes and pay little attention to food refusal. If mealtime is stressful, children will be less likely to eat. Don't expect children to eat more than they need. If children are often full, they'll be more likely to refuse food. And remember, a child's appetite will vary over time, and phases of food refusal in children is completely normal. Children, like us, have their own likes and dislikes, and as they grow and develop, their likes and dislikes can change. Okay, now time for some questions to test your knowledge of what you've learned in this module. If you get any of the questions wrong, don't worry. You can go back into the module again at any time. Best of luck! As a child carer, you can do a lot to help over-anxious parents about their child's eating. What advice should you give to parents whose children refuse food? Should they encourage them to offer their children alternative foods? Not to overreact? Or to offer their child drinks instead of the refused food? Should they encourage them to offer their children alternative foods? Not to overreact? Or to offer their child drinks instead of the refused food? And the answer is not to overreact. Remember, overreacting to food refusal will always make the problem worse. Next question. As we've said, pain or discomfort from eating is very rare. But what action should you take if a child is experiencing pain or discomfort whilst they're eating? Should you refer the toddler to a speech and language therapist? Offer the toddler the food 13 times? Or refer the toddler to a GP? Should you refer the toddler to a speech and language therapist? Offer the toddler the food 13 times? Or refer the toddler to a GP? And the answer is, refer the toddler to a GP if they're experiencing pain or discomfort while eating. And now, for the final question. We talked about some of the common medical causes that can result in food refusal with children. Now, which of the following is a common cause of a toddler refusing food? Constipation, diarrhea, or eczema? Is it constipation, diarrhea, or eczema? And the answer is constipation. It's a common cause of a toddler refusing their food. Well, congratulations! You have now completed part 2 of 3 of our training course on fussy eaters. You are now ready for part 3 of the course. For more information, go to our website www.grubforlife.org.uk, or to contact our team, please email feedback@grubforlife.com. Yes, that's right. The website is .org.uk and the email is .com. Good luck and healthy learning. Your Learning Zone.tv from Grub for Life, your learning partner.